Hi guys, this is my discussion post 3, which considers how academic language and differentiated instruction affect instruction in my content area, which is social science. After reading the 3 books, Zires, Crawford, Tomlinson, McTee, and Schmoker. So this PowerPoint is going to be a nice little guide of those 3 books and the main points, especially for social science as well. So Zires and Crawford, Academic Conversations. Chapter 4 builds off of designing effective conversation tasks, so getting your students, so guiding their conversations, so requiring both partners to talk, getting them to critically and creative think with each other, arguing a primary source document or opinion based off of a primary source document or secondary source, and then encouraging thinking based on principles, laws, and approaches of discipline as well, and providing choice and ownership. So giving the students choices of how they want to tackle a certain maybe project or assignment, or even just basically giving them options of disagreeing, supporting, developing, asking questions, humor, all these kind of, and then connecting, comparing. So giving them different types of ways to connect to the content. Next, for chapter 5, one main thing I want to go to is training students to encourage and compliment. So goes into about building a community with your students, with your classroom. So if you, one major thing that you want classroom to be encouraging, you got to teach your students, or not even teach your students, but create a classroom environment where they feel free of judgment and feel like they can express their ideas without any type of prosecution or any type of hurtful kind of words to one another as well. So encouraging and compliments. So I love the way you build up your hypothesis. Like, wow, nice job. So not even just you doing it as a teacher, but your students doing it as well with one another. So next is chapter 6. So developing academic grammar and vocab through conversation. One main point I want to go through here is the academic vocab development by conversation. So decide and debate cards. There's different types of things that you can do to develop vocab through conversation and exploring one word. So getting one main word out of a chapter that you really want to dive into. Like a huge word in history is like imperialism. So having them really understand the meaning of it and build connections based off of that word, and then connect the words, the word cards, and using academic metaphors as well. So here next we have Integrating Differentiation and Instruction by Caroline Tomlinson and Jay McTee. This is a really long section, so I'm going to go over just like briefly each chapter, just main points from each chapter. So chapter 6 is responsive teaching with UBD and academic diverse classrooms. So students need opportunities to learn the basics and then apply them in meaningful ways. So starting from the basics and building off of those basics and getting more complex in their thoughts as well. And then we have students need to know the learning goals of lessons and units for proficiency. So in each unit and each lesson, even every daily lesson, students need to know the learning goals of lessons and need to know what they're striving for in those lessons. And you can place them on the wall, on the whiteboard, or in the PowerPoint presentation for them to visibly see throughout the lesson as well, so they all are on the same page of what they're trying to accomplish for that day. Next, chapter 7 is teaching for understanding in academically diverse classrooms. The major thing I want to go is uncovering the content, so inquiry-based designs and backwards designing of units. So starting from the end and going what you're going to assess them on, and then teaching them from what you want them to get from the entire unit and building from that. So backwards planning. So making sure that the students are on the right path no matter what. If you just start from the beginning and work your way to the end, not knowing what the end goal is, you and your students are not going to know what the main things that they need to get out of the unit or the lessons as well. Next, we have chapter 8, grading and reporting achievements. So I hear guiding principles of effective instruction. So grades should be based on clear learning goals, always having those clear learning goals in each daily lesson, like I just discussed. And then evidence used for grading should be valid as well. Grading should be based on the established criteria. So if you have an assignment, you should always have a certain criteria that you and the students know that they have to hit when they are doing the assignment. So you can give them a rubric that gives them the step by step of what category they need from each of the assignments. There's a multitude of things you can do, and then avoid grading on average. So don't have a means average, kind of focusing on the achievement as well. Next is chapter 9, bringing it all together, curriculum and instruction through the lens of UBD and DIs or DL. So observable indicators in UBD. So you have environment, curriculum, teachers, and learners. So in the environment, there should be people or students treating each other with dignity, respect, safety valued, working with collaboration. That's a huge thing. Working collaboratively, learning from their peers. And then you have curriculum, so care and design, multitude of assessments. So not just here's a multiple choice test. You guys are all going to get that at the end of the unit. No, you got to give them differentiated assignments, or just a variety of assignments. Give them projects, give them any kind of different things besides just a basic test, And then you have teachers. So teachers help students connect to big ideas, give them hooks, get them actively engaged in the content. And then learners, they're able to describe the goals, they can explain and do why and contribute effectively. So that goes with having those learning goals in each daily lesson and them knowing what they're striving for in each and every day. So, and then chapter 10 is moving forward to integrate them. So stage 3 is the biggest thing for me, I think, is think big and start small. So there's all these different ideas that you can get from these, and you're kind of just like, oh, they're all such great ideas. You just want to implement them all at one time. And that's one thing that they're trying to avoid is innovation overload. So don't just completely overhaul everything and start new, and you'll get overwhelmed doing that. You'll kind of potentially get lost in that. In order to effectively do this, you kind of want to build steps by steps, and take things out and add little things into your teaching, not just completely overhauling everything that you do. Okay, last is Schmoker, social studies with reading and writing at the core. So truth and evidence in social studies, good curriculum should contain the following. So there's some things I agree and do disagree with him. One thing I kind of do disagree with him is primary, secondary sources, especially in history, social science. I think once a week is not enough. I think they should be integrating and engaging with primary sources and secondary sources every single day, and maybe a new one every single day. I think the longest you should probably go with one is maybe 2 to 3 days, depending on the significance of it. But I think once a week is far too few. And then routine. I think routine's huge. My guide teacher from last semester talked about routine on every single day. He's like, getting them in routine gets them comfortable. They know what they're doing, and they don't get lost. And when they come into class, they know the expectations and they know what they're going to do. So routine is huge. And then last, key points, can't replace reading and writing in social science. So especially today, students are starting to hate reading more and more and more. Less readers and more people just kind of on their phones, but little do they know that is reading still too. But so you can't replace reading and writing in social studies. They need to have reading and writing assignments. That's huge for social studies. So even though that you might get some kind of maybe backlash or something like that from giving them reading and writing assignments, I think you can help fix that by giving them things that they are maybe interested in and can engage more with. So that's kind of up to the teacher to make your students interested in what you're reading and writing about. And lastly is another key point, so primary source and current events. So ask students to discuss versatile questions, giving them different questions instead of the guided reading questions, giving them questions that get them to critically think, like agreeing or disagreeing with the author, or inferences or interpretations or connections with different content as well. So that's another huge point that Schmoker talks about that I really agree with as well. And that is the end of my discussion. Thank you guys for listening. Sorry it lasted so long.